The Wisconsin Supreme Court is hearing a case on whether the swing state's nonpartisan top elections official can stay in her post despite not being reappointed and confirmed by the state Senate. Republicans who control the Senate tried to fire Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf last year. An attorney for the commission argued before the court today that Wolf is validly holding her position as a holdover, and the commission is not obligated to appoint someone. But the attorney for Republican lawmakers argued the commission must appoint an administrator so the Senate can vote on confirming that person. The court will issue a ruling at a later time.